This video is all about the state of Connecticut. Most people think that Connecticut is a suburban hellscape that mostly wealthy white people live in, and it's the drive through state between New York and Boston. People have given Connecticut a pretty bad reputation over the years. However, this video is going to be outlining three things you didn't know about Connecticut that actually makes it a wonderful state to live in. So, if you're curious about Connecticut and want to learn more, please take it from me. I actually I wasn't born here, but I was raised here since the time I was 2 months old, went through all of my schooling here, even attended the University of Connecticut. And now in my 30s, I have settled down in Connecticut, but don't think I've only ever lived here. I've also spent 2 years in New York City, 2 years in Boston, and 4 years in Denver. So I have many different cities and states to compare Connecticut to. And today I'm going to walk you through three things you probably didn't know about Connecticut that helps you open your eyes to whether or not Connecticut is the right state for you. Okay, against popular opinion, Connecticut is actually a relatively affordable state to buy a home in. And yes, we have the southern coastline of Connecticut, which is basically the coastline that has the Metro North where people can get into New York City easily. So that's our commuter line. And on that line, the housing is going to be quite expensive because most people who want to purchase a home, who work in Manhattan and want to live in the suburbs, might live on that golden coastline of Connecticut. And those homes are going to be very expensive. However, if you move to central Connecticut, northern Connecticut, literally anywhere else in Connecticut, the housing is generally affordable. And I know this because I'm comparing it to the places that I've lived in the past. So, for instance, a small home in Denver worth 800,000 might be worth 400,000 in Connecticut. And the really cool thing about Connecticut housing market right now is while most housing markets seem to be oversaturated or on the decline, Connecticut housing is still on the up and still growing in value. And that's partially because people are starting to see Connecticut as a better place to live. It's accessible to cities. It has really amazing schools. It has generally nice weather. We generally don't have natural disasters. Overall, it's a great state to live in. So people are starting to discover us and people are moving here, and the housing market just keeps going up for if you're looking to buy a home that's relatively affordable, you'll be able to probably find something in Connecticut, which is awesome. And just on that note, when it comes to living in Connecticut, I would say it is not the place for you if you are like young and single and want that city life. It really is for the people who want to live in suburbia. So I didn't live here throughout my entire 20s, mostly like out of school. I lived in Connecticut for a short period of time and then I quickly left and enjoyed my 20s elsewhere. But when I was ready to settle down and have a family and own a home, I moved back to Connecticut. And it is truly a great place to live if you want amenities that are accessible to you. So, for instance, I live within 5 minutes driving of a Trader Joe's, a Stop and Shop, and a Whole Foods. I live walking distance from a Starbucks, a Dunkin' Donuts, and a really adorable cafe nearby. Actually, there's a fourth cafe bakery that I could walk to as well, several restaurants, and our town actually has four community pools I can go to with my son and my husband in the summer. So, Connecticut is an ideal state for anyone who wants to plant roots. And there are a few colleges in Connecticut. So, if you're in school or right out of school, Connecticut is a great place for you to live. But if you are itching for that city life, I wouldn't say it should be your top choice. Now, the second thing about Connecticut you probably don't know or understand is that yes, Connecticut has higher taxes. And when I was growing up in Connecticut, I took all of the benefits of taxes for granted. So, what I mean by that is Connecticut has amazing schools, they have great infrastructure, the roads are generally pretty nice, the sidewalks are paved, they plow when it snows. Like, these are all things I grew up expecting. These are things that I thought all states did. But we have the local pools, the local libraries, like teachers are paid super well. And that's all because of our higher taxes. And the reason why I've grown to accept that Connecticut has higher taxes is because of everything we get for it. Whereas when I was living in Colorado, yes, the taxes were low, but when it snowed, there were no plows on the road, and the sidewalks were super cracked, and schools were a little bit sketchy looking, especially the public schools. I never sent kids there, but I definitely had this feeling I wouldn't want to send my kids to those schools. Um, so I guess what I'm saying is when I lived in places like Colorado, where it's known for having low taxes or low state taxes, I saw that, oh, okay, so what we pay for is what we get. And in Connecticut, you do have high taxes, but you're getting some amazing benefits. It's a really great place to live if you want to have those extra amenities. And finally, one thing you probably have heard about Connecticut is that the people are mean. Everyone from the Northeast is cold. And while I'm not going to say this is incorrect, what I want to remind you is that when you come to the East Coast, we're all just a little bit more direct. We all love sarcasm, but we are not fake. People in Connecticut are real, and they're also friendly and warm. So while people think that people on the East Coast are all cold and they are rigid and they walk fast and they're mean and they're assholes, whatever, it's really not true. Like, all you have to do is take some time to get to know people from Connecticut, and you have to be okay with less of the niceties that you might see in the South or the Midwest. We're just going to be direct. We're going to tell it like it is. We're going to be sarcastic. So, if you're not used to that, that might make you feel uncomfortable. But people are really kind and friendly and welcoming here because Connecticut is turning into a state where more people are moving. Many of my neighbors have moved here from places like Texas or California, um, the Carolinas. And when they come here, they're all really impressed by how neighborly people are. Like, people will come over and bring over a six pack and a bouquet of flowers or a baked good for you when you move in. It's very common. People are friendly. They want to get to know their neighbors. It is not like the stereotypes you hear of people in the Northeast. We are just direct. So it is what it is on that front. So, to sum it up, the three things you probably didn't know about Connecticut that I wanted to share with you today, take it or leave it how it is. First of all, housing market in Connecticut is still generally pretty affordable. If you get in here, you might be able to actually afford something with space. Also, yes, we have high taxes, but you see the benefits of the high taxes, which is really nice. And then finally, the people are real and they are direct and they are kind and they're not going to be fake. So that's what it's like to live in Connecticut. And if you're wondering, is it like Gilmore Girls? I will say the quick witted banter back and forth is very real. There are many small town vibes. Like, I grew up in a town where there was a gazebo and a town green. That is exactly what Connecticut is like. And you're going to get the four seasons. So, yes, fall in Connecticut is spectacular. And you're close to the ocean. You can drive to the ocean. There are some decent hikes. Is it going to be the best place for hiking? In my opinion, no. But you got the good breweries, you got the good restaurants, you have um, access to the other states in New England as well. You're 2 hours from Manhattan if you're in central Connecticut. You're 2 hours from Boston. It's a really interesting state for sports. We are the basketball capital of the world. So if you love basketball, this place is definitely the place for you. But I could go on and on. That's living in Connecticut in a nutshell. I highly recommend it. I decided to move back here after moving around. Thank you all for listening to my talk about Connecticut today. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. Please ask your questions in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Thank you.